This is the audience.
Hello, my name is Logan. About 3 out of every 10 teen American girls will get pregnant. And about 25% of those girls will have a second child within 24 months of the first. Today, my purpose is to persuade you about the importance of over-the-counter birth control and making sex education more common in the United States. The problem is that there are too many teen pregnancies in the United States. The plan to solve this is to allow birth control to become over-the-counter medicine for easier access for teens and to also increase the amount of sex education in school. This will help the United States save money and also make teens' lives easier. One of the biggest causes of the high rates of teen pregnancy is that there's not enough talk about sex education in schools. Sex education is not only talking about contraceptives, but it's also talking about healthy relationships, how to be safe and smart when having sex. Because there's not enough talk about this, and most teens are scared to ask their parents because they're scared to be judged and get in trouble, a lot of teens turn to unreliable sources and get information that's wrong about sex and how to be safe and to not get pregnant, says the Metro. Another one of the reasons that teen pregnancy is so high in the United States is that there's just not easy access to birth control. Most birth control requires you to go through a doctor, get a prescription, and get it from behind the counter at the pharmacy. So most teens cannot go to the doctor by themselves and have to have a parent present. Because of this, they're scared to ask their parents and they're scared to get birth control. If we were to make this medicine over the counter, it would become easier for teens to get it. The reason that most of the highest rates of teen pregnancy in the United States is because of not having easy access to birth control and being scared to ask their parents, says the CDC. The plan to solve these problems of the high rates of teen pregnancy in the United States would be making birth control over the counter and making sex education more common in schools. Right now, birth control is hard to get. Besides emergency contraceptives, the only thing that you can get over the counter is condoms, and those don't work most of the time. Most of the time, you need birth control and condoms to just have that extra layer of protection to make sure that you don't get pregnant. When it's hard to get birth control because of all the layers the FDA has behind to get birth control. And yes, some insurances cover it, but a lot of people still end up paying out of pocket. If we were to make birth control over the counter, the hope is that most insurance would still cover it being an over-the-counter medicine with no copay for other people. And a 2004 study is shown that lots of women between ages 18 to 44 would purchase birth control over the counter if it became over the counter. They would purchase it, says Reason.com. Another way to stop the high amount of teen pregnancies is making sex education more common in schools. We could do this by taking just a little bit more time in these teen days and mandating that there be more sex education in school to teach these kids how to be smart and reduce the number of teen pregnancies. If we could do that, it would save a lot of money and it would make teen pregnancies, the number of them, reduce. And right now, only 24 states in the United States mandate sex education, says LayMiller.com. How we would enforce this plan? The FDA and the federal governments and state governments will enforce these plans by making birth control over the counter, which is something that the FDA has to do. And when the FDA does that, it'll allow all the states to be able to sell birth control over the counter and not for teens have to go through so much trouble to get birth control. The other thing that would enforce this plan on the sex education line is schools. Schools could take just a little bit of money out of some of these extracurricular activities that they focus so much on and put that money towards having one sex education class. Even if it's one semester out of every year of high school, or just even like a extended one-time class, it would help. There's not a lot of money that needs to go in this plan, besides, like I said before, moving some money around to cover sex education courses. And the FDA, they wouldn't have to pay a whole lot of money to do this over-the-counter birth control. Right now, in the United States, there's just so much teen pregnancy. and it's just a big factor. And today, my purpose was to persuade you to make birth control over the counter and to increase the number of sex education classes in school. The problem is there's too many teen pregnancies in the United States. The plan, making birth control over the counter to have easier access to teens and to make sex education more common in school, and sex education is something we can talk about. And the plan, it would help save teens money and help save the United States money by reducing the number of recipients on Medicaid, food stamps, welfare, and so forth. Will this plan stop the number of teen pregnancies in the United States? No, but it would drastically reduce the number of teen pregnancies, and that's important. Now, we need to band together as a nation and fight for healthy contraceptives to become normal and for sex education to become normalized, not teen pregnancy. Thank you.
This is the audience.